Victor is going to demonstrate how to utilize his tool Epyon for privilege escalation and lateral movement within DevOps environments. Please welcome Victor.
Okay, let's go. Okay, so a little bit about myself. My name is Victor Pasquinel. I'm from Fortaleza in Brazil. I have been working with security for 13 years already. I'm mostly doing pen tests and red teaming. I'm one of the founders of Red Wolves. I'm also a college professor. I've been giving classes for 12 years. And I'm one of the leaders of the Fortaleza OWASP chapter. Okay, so this is going to be the agenda for today. I'm going to start with the motivation behind the tool, behind Epyon. After that, I'm going to talk about Epyon main features and the different modules. I'm going to show some demos and going to end with some conclusions. Okay, so about Epyon. Epyon is actually not a new project of mine. It's an old project, but it began as an internal project. It all started around 2020. Back at that time, I was doing a lot of red team engagements for different clients, and I was getting access to a lot of DevOps systems. But back in 2020, I didn't know much. I only knew a little bit about DevOps. And I started studying about DevOps and CI/CD pipelines, and I had a few challenges, a few problems in the beginning. Most of the tools back in 2020 and the material that I found were about attacking things like Kubernetes and maybe also Jenkins. But I didn't find any material about attacking other types of systems like SonarQube, Nexus, or even Azure DevOps. So I started making my own scripts. I had a bunch of small Python scripts, and each script was for attacking a different type of system. And I had some initial goals too. My first goal was actually to combine all the scripts that I had into one single tool, and that's Epyon. And I wanted to create this tool to attack DevOps and also share with my team members back then, and also use the tool to teach them how to attack DevOps. Okay, I had some initial concerns about the tool. First, the use of the official APIs. In my opinion, it's just easier to use the official APIs to do the attacks. Most of the tools inside CI/CD pipeline, they have APIs. So I think it's just easier to use the official APIs. Number two, the multiple targets. Usually inside DevOps, there's like different types of systems. So the tool, it also needs to be able to attack different types of targets inside a pipeline. And for third, the tool needs to be able to handle large volumes of data. I put this here because usually when I'm pen testing a CI/CD pipeline, you get access to a lot of information. You usually get access to things like source code, container images, and a lot of credentials. So it's usually a very large volume of data, especially if you do this on a real DevOps environment. So these were my initial concerns about Epyon. Okay, so Epyon, it's a Swiss Army knife for pen testing DevOps. It's all open source. It's a Golang tool. Right now it has 10 different modules. Each module is for attacking a different type of DevOps system. It also has some integration with other tools like GitLab and TrueHug. There's the address, my personal GitHub, where you can download Epyon. This is the list of the current modules. So we have 10 modules. We have it's based on the most common tools that I found during pen tests for different clients. So we have the GitLab module, GitHub, and the GitHub also works for GitHub Enterprise. Jenkins, Azure DevOps, Nexus, Docker registries, SonarQube, Gitya, JFrog Artifactory, and the latest one, which is Terraform Cloud, or Terraform Enterprise for on-premise Terraform. Okay, so for the first step, if you want to start using Epyon, you have two options. You can download one of the binaries from GitHub, from the official releases, or you can just build from source. It's really easy. You just need to do a simple git clone and a go build command. And also, you need to create a config file. On the repo on GitHub, there's a config example file that you can use it as a template. So the config file is going to have all the global variables, and if you want to change any of the global parameters, you can do that. For the demos, this is actually based on real-life engagements. So everything that I'm going to show you in the videos is usually things that I do when I'm pen testing a CI/CD pipeline. And it's some common things that I usually find on these types of engagements. I created a fake company called Velar. So we're going to see a little bit of this fake company on the videos. The demo is going to be divided in 3 parts. The first part is about getting initial access in the CI/CD pipeline. The second part is about doing lateral movement and a little bit of privilege escalation. And the third part, it's also about lateral movement, but this time we're going to Terraform Cloud. So we're going to access some cloud services. Okay, so this is going to be our target CI/CD pipeline. I have seen the same configuration like in a dozen different clients. So this is actually pretty common back in Brazil. So that's why I choose this for the demos. And there's like some common DevOps systems like GitLab, Jenkins, Nexus. There in the bottom, Docker Registry, Terraform, Cloud, and Kubernetes. So I have seen this same type or very similar configuration in a dozen different clients. Okay, so for the first part, the initial access, the first target is going to be Nexus. If you don't know Nexus, Nexus is an artifact repository server. It's actually very popular in Brazil. A lot of Brazilian companies use it. In the videos, there is also a Docker registry running on port 5000. And for the demos, I'm assuming that I have at least read-only access to the registry API, and that's actually very common. I have seen this like in a lot of different pen tests. Okay, so I hope you guys can see the video. Let me go here. Okay, so oops. Sorry. Let's go back. Okay. Oh, it's better this way. Okay. So I'm going to begin with the Nexus module, and I'm going to list all the repositories. And let me just go back a little bit. And the important thing here is that there is a Docker prod registry right there in the middle, and that is going to be our target for the demo. So we start by using the Nexus module and list all the repositories. Okay, now we're going to switch for the registry module. I'm going to change the port. Now I'm going to use the registry module, and I'm going to do the list images command. Now we can see all the images. I have to say something that in this demo there are actually just a few images, but when you do this on a real environment, you see like hundreds or even thousands of different images. Okay, so now I'm going to do the registry history command, and it's going to download all the Docker file history for each image, and it's going to save on a local folder. So it's downloading all the history. Okay, so it saves on a local folder. So there's a folder for each image. And I'm just going to show an example of the history data from the Docker file. So you get all the timestamps and all the commands of when each command was added to that image. And that's just an example. Now I'm going to use the TruffleHog module. So I'm going to look for credentials in the history, in the Docker file history, from those images that I just downloaded. So this takes a little bit. One thing that it's important to mention is that TruffleHog is not able to find all the credentials, so we still have to do a little bit of manual search. So we're going to start seeing some credentials, like, so this is our first credential. Okay, so we have a little bit more. Now I'm going to choose one of these files from the Docker file history. You're going to see the contents. And we're going to start seeing the first credentials at the bottom of the file. So there's actually some database credentials, and there's also a proxy credential. So we can see some secrets over here. We can see some Postgres database credentials, some passwords, and the important one is a proxy credential. And this we're going to use on the next part, the next video. Okay, so that was the first part, getting initial access. So now we're going to do, for the second part, we're going to do a little bit of lateral movement. This time we're going to try and access GitLab with that proxy credential and see what we're able to get. Okay, so I'm going to start the video doing, I'm going to switch for the GitLab module, and I'm going to do a little bit of reconnaissance and try to see who am I and what kind of access I have. So, okay, so this account belongs to Charles. He's a regular user. Now I'm going to try and list the groups that that user is, the user groups. And I can see that that account is in the DevOps group. Now I'm going to do a little bit more of reconnaissance. I'm going to list all the users on GitLab. So we have the whole list. And at this point, I could do a password spray. There is also a different, in the same module, the GitLab module, there is a function for doing password spray. So I could do that with the list. I'm going to list the projects. There is one important thing here is that this is not the full list of projects. It's only the list that this user has access to. So it's not the full list. Oops. Let me forward a little bit. Listing users. Okay, listing projects. And I could also download the projects at this point and also use TruffleHog or GitLeaks to search for credentials. This time I'm going to list the group variables. And there's a token on GitLab. There's 3 different types of CI/CD variables. You can have project variables, you can have group variables, or you can have instance variables. So in this case, this user he is able to see the group variables, and we can see that there is a DevOps service token, and that's the token. So that's the token that we're going to use on the next video. Okay, so now we're going to try and use that server's account token and see what type of access we have. So, okay, so now I'm going to just export the token. And I'm also going to do, again, a little bit of reconnaissance. But this time using the token, and now I can see that the token belongs to the Jenkins account. And the Jenkins, it's admin on GitLab. So now we can list and get the full list of projects. So there's a bigger list. Okay. At this point, we could download all the projects. But this time, we're going to try and list the CI/CD variables for each project. So this time, it's like running credentials. And when you do this on real life CI/CD pipelines, it's so many credentials, like you get access to almost everything. So you have all types of credentials, database credentials, tokens for other types of DevOps systems, SonarQube, GitLab, Sonar, again, some Amazon. This is all fake. This is all fake data. Okay. And since the server's account is global admin, I can list the instance variables. So you can only do this if you are global admin on GitLab. So now I get more tokens, and here I have on the top we have a token for SonarQube, and on the bottom, a TF token is Terraform token. So I'm going to do lateral movement once again, but this time I'm going to reach the SonarQube and use that token over there. So I'm just listing the users to check if the token is valid. But by using the SonarQube module, I could also try and download all the projects from SonarQube. Now I'm going to use the last token, which is the Terraform token, on the third part of the demo. We also had the token, the admin, at least the admin password for the Nexus. Oops. Okay. So now for the third part, we're going to breach Terraform Cloud. So we're going to begin by validating the token that we found at the end of the second video. And we're going to search for more secrets on Terraform workspace variables. Okay, so I'm going to use the token, but I'm going to begin by listing the organizations in Terraform Cloud that token has access to. Okay, so we can see the Velaris organization. Okay. Now we're going to list all the workspaces. And again, it's only a few workspaces, but when you do this on a real DevOps environment, it's like hundreds of workspaces. And now I'm going to list all the workspace variables. And we're going to use our tokens. And one important thing to mention here is that when you do this on a real environment, let me pause the video here. What happens usually is that you get at least one or two workspaces on Terraform Cloud that the Terraform admins, or who was responsible for this, they leave some of the tokens as in the clear text, so you can still see the value. So they forgot to put this sensitive parameter here to true. So you can still see the value. So you usually see at least one or two workspaces that you can still, that someone forgot to put that. So you are able to get more tokens. So at this point, you already have like all the credentials and all the access keys for basically doing everything. Okay. Okay, so these were the demos. So for the conclusions, these are the modules that I'm working at this moment. The GoCD module, the Harbor module, and the SonarQube module. These are the new ones that I'm working right now. For the conclusions, in my opinion, if you want to compromise the cloud, the fastest way is through DevOps. All the crown jewels are now in DevOps. And it's just a new low-hanging fruit for attackers. And from real engagements, some of the lessons learned is that most blue teams are not even looking at DevOps. You know? So there's like total lack of monitoring. So you can do like even a lot of noise and like there's no one looking at this. So it's a great attack vector now for red teams. And that's all. Thanks. Okay. Any questions? Or so you can try. There's a QR code for the GitHub if you want to try the tool and play a little bit with it. So, any questions? Or